You're listening to the Fort Erie Podcast, your local source for upcoming events, hot new listings, and bite-sized interviews with business and community leaders. Here's your host, Brent Jones.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Fort Erie Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 2 you're listening to. It is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. I'm your host, Brent Jones, and let's get started. My guest today, as many of you know, is Jenn Wilkinson, owner of the popular Ridgeway restaurant brands 335 on the Ridge, as well as The Kitchen at 335. But first, let's talk about what's making news right now in Fort Erie. First and foremost, the Black Creek area of Stevensville will soon be home to a new gas station, convenience store, and drive-through fast food chain. Now that's thanks to a rezoning amendment for a specific parcel of land at Netherby and Town Line Roads, the amendment having received unanimous approval from the town, rezoning that parcel as highway commercial land. And although it isn't official, it appears that fast food chain is going to be a McDonald's. Next, town councilors signed off on October 13th on spending just shy of $90,000 on a new Zamboni for use at municipal arenas. This Zamboni will be replacing a 12-year-old piece of equipment that I believe is currently being used at the Leisureplex Arena. The old Zamboni is being traded in to offset the purchase price of the new machine. And just lastly, local moms Ashley Jiggins and Lavinia Davies have co-founded a nonprofit called No Bare Bums Niagara. Now, since August, Jiggins and Davies, alongside a cast and crew of other volunteers, have assisted Niagara families in numerous ways, largely pertaining to distribution of baby items, assisting 41 families so far with everything from free supplies of formula, diapers, bottles, and pacifiers. So this organization, No Bare Bums Niagara, is based out of Fort Erie, but has a network of pickup locations scattered throughout Niagara region. For more information on any of today's stories, please check out the show notes below this episode, or as always, you can get those show notes by visiting theforteriepodcast.com. Now, for this week's hot new listing, it's brought to you by yours truly, me, Brent Jones with Remax Niagara Realty Limited. I'd like to highlight my latest listing at 1960 Pound Avenue in Fort Erie. This move-in ready newer build is situated on a double lot with a gorgeous wraparound porch. It's a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home with a fully finished basement, 2 gas fireplaces, 2 patio walkouts, a 3-car garage, a total of more than 2,600 square feet of living space. For more information, check out the link in the show notes or call me directly at 905-626-8826. Now let's check in with Fort Erie questions and answers on Facebook. This week, Jessica asks, who has the hottest wings in town? There were quite a number of honorable mentions. You guys are connoisseurs when it comes to chicken wings, I guess. A couple of the honorable mentions include South Coast Cookhouse in Crystal Beach and South Sides in Fort Erie, as well as the Indian Spice Wings at Garrison Club on Garrison Road. But the top answer that I saw was the Forget About It wings at Trailside Bar and Grill in Ridgeway. Sarah asks, aside from Tim Hortons, are there any coffee shops in Fort Erie? Again, there were a ton of mentions, ton of shout outs here. The most common responses that I saw were Whistle Stop Cafe, formerly the Savory Bean on Jarvis Street. Left of Central Board Game Cafe, a newer edition, also on Jarvis Street, as well as the Crystal Ball Beach Cafe, located at 4028 Erie Road. All right, folks, that wraps up what's happening this week in Greater Fort Erie. Now on to my interview with Jenn Wilkinson. All right, welcome back, everybody. I am sitting down here with Jenn Wilkinson, owner of 335 on the Ridge and thekitchen.ca. Jenn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to sit with you.
I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I have to start by asking you the really important question. Is it 335 on the Ridge or 335 on the Ridge? I've always wanted to know.
Three, it depends. It depends on the day.
Okay.
It depends on who's answering the phone, I would say.
So are you saying both are acceptable?
Both are acceptable.
Because I've always said 335 on the Ridge, and then somebody else told me it was 335, and I've had it wrong all this time.
I think I said 335 this morning, and yesterday I said 335. So I'm a culprit as well.
I feel so much better now. That's good. Well, anyway, all joking aside, let me start by asking you, what would you say makes Fort Erie, and especially Ridgeway, such a great place to live and work?
Well, I grew up in Crystal Beach, and there's just a sense of home here, for me at least.
For sure. I would agree with that. Let's talk a bit about the origins of 335 or 335. How did it all get started? And I seem to recall you'd opened a place across the street. That was the kitchen originally across the street, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the origins of what we have here today.
So 2016, we opened the kitchen, and right after that, I think it was Ridgeway's itself, the block was sort of coming up for sale. And my business partner came to me and he's like, I think I want to buy Ridgeway's. Would you be interested in it? And it was like an early morning over coffee. And I was like, yeah, I always wanted to have Ridgeway's. When I was first chefing and working on the 20, I actually used to come to Ridgeway's and have a pint after work. And I'd always say to Paul, I'd love to have this place one day. And so it worked out that we made it all happen. Brad Brunton bought the building, and we started 335.
Wow. That's very, very cool. Now, as you know, I've been in here all the time. I love this place. But I've always been a little bit confused about what the distinction is between 335 and the kitchen. So what's kind of the difference between the two brands? Is the menu the same? How do they operate?
So basically, once we took over Ridgeway's, and I was up and down the street, and it just didn't make sense anymore to have two locations in such we're a block apart. And the back area, which Paul for years had run as a deli out of the restaurant, was the perfect fit. And to downsize, it was always a staffing issue. There's issues that come up in business, and, obviously fiscally responsible, it was way easier for us to have one location, less overhead, and make it work.
For somebody maybe who hasn't been here before, could you describe the cuisine you offer and maybe some of your personal menu favorites?
Yeah, so our base principle comes from our sourdough. So when we started the kitchen, we also started our sourdough starter. And I think because of where we are, the lake, the limestone ridge, we just built a beautiful sourdough, and we're blessed to have that. It's nothing, we're not doing anything crazy. We're just making a really great bread with, we use oak manor flour, the organic flour. And that's where it all starts. So I would definitely recommend our sandwiches to anybody who has not had one of our sandwiches. It's sort of what we're known for. And I would say my favorite to this day is our roast beef sandwich.
Yeah?
Yeah, it has a horseradish aioli with a little rosemary in it, shaved red onion, aged cheddar, rare roast beef, and then the roasted tomatoes and the arugula. It all just sort of works, and it's by far to this day, if I'm craving a kitchen sandwich, I want that one.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. I like to do this with all my guests, to have a kind of a brief rapid fire question round.
Okay.
These are just kind of fun little trivia questions about yourself, so
Okay.
people can get to know Jenn Wilkinson a little bit better, okay?
Okay.
If you get stuck on any question, feel free to pass, all right?
Okay, let's go.
All right. What's your favorite sport to watch?
I guess football, because my husband watches it. So
Yeah?
yeah.
Go
sure.
Bills.
Yeah, go Bills.
If you had to listen to one song on repeat for 24 hours, what would it be?
Oh, I have so many. That's so hard. Right now, any song by the Lumineers, I have on repeat all the time.
Very cool. Have you ever been told you look like somebody famous?
Tina Fey.
Oh my God, I can see that now. Oh my God. Okay, all right. Yeah. If you had your own late night talk show, who would you invite as your first guest?
I feel like I'd want to sit down with Ellen. I
Yeah?
don't know why. Yeah, I'd want to see what she's actually like.
Sure,
You know?
that's that. Okay.
I want to. Yeah, I go with Ellen.
What would the title of your autobiography be?
A lot of curse words.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
There is no problems. There's always solutions.
Okay, that's good. All right.
I like it.
And
say it.
And just lastly, if you could eliminate one thing from your daily routine, what would it be?
No, nothing. I love my life.
Okay, all right, good. Well, that's it. You survived the rapid fire round. You didn't even have to pass.
I didn't have to pass.
That was very good.
No.
Well, getting back to kind of the crux of things, I mean, it's not a secret that it's been a tough year for a lot of businesses in Ridgeway. Are there any businesses here kind of on Ridge Road you'd like to give a shout out to? Someone who's really done a great job?
I don't want to name any certain one because then I'd get in trouble if I didn't name the other.
That's fair.
But I mean, I think downtown Ridgeway has this amazing core of business owners that support each other. Whether you're going, next door to buy something, or somebody's grabbing a pizza from us, or I think during the pandemic when we were really busy, I tried to order out for the staff, and buy scrunchies or masks locally, and just trying to keep everybody here is super important to me. It's always been what I'm a hometown girl. Crystal Beach I was born in. Ridgeway I started my businesses in, and I'm not here really for any other reason than I love this community, and it's a way for the business is a way to provide something that's not here for me to people. And I have an amazing team behind me. They're all local, so I'm blessed with that. And I would say that everybody here is really lucky to be in Ridgeway, and I feel like we love our supporters, and Ridgeway's just a cool place, and everyone's done a phenomenal job. So hands off to everybody, hats off to everybody. It
is a very cool place to be. Absolutely.
It is.
Well, of course, I'll put links to everything that 335 in the kitchen is up to in the show notes below this episode. But I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And one thing I didn't mention about 335 is our sourdough pizzas are the bomb. If you have not had one of our pizzas, I highly recommend for takeout or dine-in.
You heard it here first, folks. Come get a pizza from 335. Thanks so much, Jen.
Thank you, Brent.
And welcome back, everybody. In a moment, joining me will be my friend and colleague, Ray Rosatani, with a brief market update. You've probably heard it numerous times. There's currently low supply, sometimes called low inventory of new real estate listings. And when supply is low, it inflates demand. So what exactly does that mean for Fort Erie housing prices? Here to explain is Ray Rosatani.
Over the last 5 years or so, we've seen a couple of points in history in the last couple of years where we've had some significant price increases, and a lot of that is due to inventory. And when inventory went low, the average sale price and the amount of volume really, really, truly increased. With COVID and the pandemic that's going on, we see a lot of people escaping the GTA, coming into our town, and our average sale price has just gone through the roof. Now it's closer to mid 500s. And the amount of volume that and transactions that have been happening over the last little while is almost off the charts. Let's say back in 2015, the town of Fort Erie did about $10 million in a month of transactions. In 2017, when our inventory dropped and we had a huge increase in price points, we did closer to 20 million. And just in the last little bit, we are now hovering around $40 million.
Okay, everybody, let's wrap up this week's episode with a couple of local community events. And when I say a couple, guys, I mean a couple, too. I scoured the town's website, Niagara this week, as well as Facebook events, all the usual places I look for what's going on in our community. And I only found 2 community events coming up this week publicized. I'm sure that there are more than that. I'm just not aware of them. So as a quick reminder, guys, if there's an event coming up in our town and you want me to talk about it, head on over to the FortEriePodcast.com and click the contact button at the top of the page. Let me know about your community event so I can give it a shout out. All right, folks, so here are the 2 events that I found coming up this Wednesday, October the 21st at 7 p.m. Head on over to Aroma Bubbles Lifestyle Boutique on Jarvis Street for Abundance Grid Work. Then the following day, on Thursday, October 22nd, 2020 at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, the Immaculate Misconception will be making an appearance at the Bell Tower in the north end of Fort Erie. All right, folks, that about does it. Join me next Tuesday for a brand new episode of the Fort Erie Podcast, Season 3, Episode 3. My guest will be none other than Martha Mason, Executive Director of the Fort Erie Multicultural Center. So long, everybody. I'll be back at you soon.
You've been listening to the Fort Erie Podcast with your host, Brent Jones, a sales representative with RE/MAX Niagara Realty Limited Brokerage. Follow @BuyWithBrent on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates. Subscribe to the Fort Erie podcast on popular platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and catch a new bite-sized episode every week. Until next time.